Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile. This is the SeeAudio X Crinacle Yume Midnight, and these are my Honest Audiophile impressions. I want to thank Intoit Reviews for providing the SeeAudio X Crinacle Yume Midnight for review. Do greatly appreciate it. Intoit Reviews, you rock. Alright, so the SeeAudio X Crinacle Yume Midnight. This is available for around $200 on Hifi Go. It is a collaboration between SeeAudio and Crinacle, and it is a alteration to the original SeeAudio Yume. It does contain the same three drivers, which are a 9.2mm liquid silicone diaphragm dynamic driver and two custom tuned Knowles balanced armature drivers. Has 32 ohms of impedance, 106 decibels of sensitivity, and a frequency response of 20 Hz to 20 kHz. The unboxing is pretty much just like the regular Yume. You get a pretty nice box, other than this one is in black and the other one was like a bluish kind of light. On the back you kind of get some specs and a little bit of graphs. On the inside, you're going to just get a few accessories. You're going to get a nice carrying case, which is plastic, has a little bit of branding on the front, and then it's deep enough to hold your IEM on the inside. And then you're going to get some tips. You're going to get extra small, small, medium, large, and extra large, and they're all silicone. And then you're going to get your Yume Midnight. And I find that the Yume Midnight is a nice, attractive look with carbon fiber faceplates. It is a little bit different build than the originals. It is a little bit more on the fat side. It is a little bit bigger. Has a little bit shorter of a nozzle and a little bit shorter of a wing. And I find that the size of it does cause a few problems compared to the original for me in fit. I found the fit of the original to just be like a glove for me, and it just like snugged in and was comfortable. And it being a little bit smaller, having a little bit larger of a wingtip and the larger angle and longer nozzle of the original fit me slightly better. Whereas on this one, it's a little bit fatter, a little bit shorter, and with that wing being just a little bit, I find that it's a little bit finicky of a fit, but I'm able to get it in with no problems. With the stock tips, I found that the stock tips were too short. They're too small, and with the more shallow fit of this shell, they just kind of wobbled around in my ears, and I didn't have a very good fit. So I did use Final Type E tips instead, and I found that the slightly longer shape of the Final Type E's fit me better, and I just got a good seal. So going forward, all sound impressions and the rest of the review will be done using the Final Type E tip. It's a very nice build, nice design. I do like it, and it feels quality. Overall, once I was able to get the fit issue out of the way, had no problems with comfort. The cable is, it's all right. It's a 5N SPC cable, 2-core, terminates in 3.5, and you have this very loose cinch. It's not my favorite silver-plated copper cable, but it's okay. I do prefer the original cable over it, which is just a straight SPC cable, or OCC, sorry, copper cable. But overall, I do appreciate the accessories that were provided. Unfortunately, they just didn't work quite for me, but I think that you get a decent unboxing experience, and overall, it's okay. All right, so I used the Yume Midnight with pretty much any source. It's not very picky whatsoever. Found this very easy to drive whether it be dongles, DAPs, or desktops. I found that the Periodic Audio Rhodium and the NextDrive Spectra X and the X Duo Link played very well with the Yume Midnight. Also, I found that on desktop, the Mytek Liberty DAC, Hifi, Zendak V2 Signature, and the Aueze Deckard all played very well with the Yume Midnight. There was no issues whatsoever using it on the Headamp GSX Mini and the Drop THX 1 Linear. Also, DAP-wise, I used it with a Sony A105, Sony NW1A, and also I used it with the FIO M11 Plus. No complaints. The SeeAudio X Crinacle Yume Midnight was happy on everything. Drove them with ease and had no complaints as far as it didn't like one or the other. Sound-wise, the SeeAudio X Crinacle Yume Midnight. All right, so the Midnight has nice bass. It's got a sub bass presence that will give you some rumble. It's going to get down and get your jaws moving a little bit. It has nice mid bass and upper bass presence. You get a nice thump, nice slam, good impact to it without being excessive. Stays well controlled. It has good details and resolution, and it does a good job with tone. Overall, I find that the bass is very pleasing, and it has moments of energy, and then it stays and becomes subtle depending on the track. It does a very good job of portraying the music. Going into the mids have a nice presence to them. They have good tonality to them, and overall everything just sounds accurate and true. There is a slight elevation in the upper mids that at times can throw off the tone and be just a little too aggressive in its presentation. Overall, I find that the mids do have a slight thinness. They lack just a little bit of body to it, but it's not unpleasing or something that I can't forgive. It's just a little bit minor gripe that I have with the Midnight, but overall I find that they're very pleasing and they have good tone and timbre to them and good detail retrieval and resolution. Going into the treble, the lower treble is elevated with that 8K peak, and then it kind of dips out and becomes a little bit more controlled, and then around 12 to 13K or so it'll rise again, and there's some peaks that as you go through. Extension is good, and it is a little too elevated. At times there can be moments of harshness, and it just has a little too much sizzle at times, but overall I find that the treble's well controlled and has a nice amount of clarity, good tone, and timbre to it. There are moments where you can get some sibilance from that 8K peak in the upper mids lower treble region, and it can be a little too forward and aggressive. But overall, I found that the Midnight was a very pleasing sound signature that I really do enjoy. Soundstage wise, they're okay. They have good depth, good width to them, okay depth and layering. They're not the most detailed and the most accurate in the soundstage, but it's a very competent soundstage, and it does a good job tracking things across the stage. And it's not the most precise in placement, but you're not getting 3 blob either. You're kind of getting, it's over here, it's over here, it's right there, instead of it's exactly right there. Overall, I find that the Yume Midnight is a very pleasing sound signature, and I do like it a lot, but I do prefer that it had a little bit more body weight, that it wasn't quite as lightweight as it is, and that it was a little bit more natural and accurate and true in tone and timbre, and that the treble wasn't quite as elevated as it was, as that can cause some false presentations of detail. All right, so how does it compare to the original, the Yume? I like the original cable better, and also I find that the fit and design of the original is better. little bit longer of a nozzle, a little bit smaller, not as thick, and I find that the Yume fit me better, and I'm able to use the stock tips. The Yume has a more natural and accurate tone and timbre. It's one of the most accurate tone and timbre IEMs in the price point. Also, I found that the Yume was slightly more easy to listen to because it wasn't as elevated in the treble and in that 8K peak, and it wasn't prone to the sibilance and harshness that the Midnight has. And I found that the Yume has a little bit more tonal balance than the Midnight. As far as detail retrieval and resolution, both of them, the Midnight and the original, have the same amount of detail and same amount of resolution. It's just presented in a different way on the Midnight. Because of that elevation in the treble, it makes a false presentation of more details, when in reality it's exactly the same amount, because they are the same drivers and has the same limitations, which is they're not the most detailed and best resolving. It's just the different presentation kind of makes it sound like you're getting a little bit more on the Midnight. And then how does the Midnight compare to the Moondrop Kato? In my opinion, the Kato is more detailed, has better resolution, and has more accurate tone and timbre. It's just slightly behind the original Yume and slightly above the Midnight. And tone and timbre. The presentation is more natural and more accurate and has more balance and is more cohesive than the Midnight. And I find that the Kato has better soundstage depth and layering, and overall a more cohesive and balanced sound. I really like the Midnight. I think that it's a good take on the original. It adds in some things that the original struggled with a little bit more sparkle and energy and a little bit more oomph in the bottom end, but it does remove that little specialness that the original had, which was a little bit thicker body weight, a little bit better note weight, and a little bit better just overall tone and timbre. Depending on what you prefer, you may like the Midnight over it, but I prefer the original. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next videos, somewhere on the screen, subscription links, notification bells. If you haven't already, please check those off. Then also don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video. Check out the links down below for all kinds of information down there regarding how you can connect with Intoit Reviews, and where you can purchase the SeeAudio X Crinacle Yume Midnight, and all kinds of other things are down below. Gear recommendations, music used during the reviews, all kinds of good stuff is down below, so check out the links. And then don't forget to enjoy the music, and that honesty is the best policy.